The third and final story of the day is about tech censorship. It's about election manipulation, all the things that they blame Russia for doing with very little to no proof. I mean, the amount of influence that the Russian ads had that they used in the Pokemon Go, and every single media headline that they had talked about for 2 years, and now they don't talk about it anymore because it turned out to not really be that true. It doesn't even scratch the surface of the influence that Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, which is owned by Google, have on elections. And I'll tell you something. Facebook, YouTube, Google, Twitter, same thing. They're all leftists. They're not even gonna lie. They want the Democratic Party to win. And they don't even, in some cases, they don't want the other left people to win. But they don't also want to enforce their policies accurately. That's what bothers me. First off, Facebook did a purge, and the Free Thought Project went down, and the Free Thought Project was actually anti-Trump in many ways, but they went down. Anti-media went down, Right-Wing Watch went down. They took down a lot of pages, basically anybody outside of CNN, and they were like, oh, well, they just used articles for spam, and they showed an example in the Washington Post of the article, and it literally looks like a CNN article, except it was by a right-wing outlet. So I was like, if you're going to enforce that to them, how come CNN and MSNBC and people that basically do make up a lot of theories that don't turn out to be true, and they have had to retract fake news stories, and they do the same sort of tactics where they share their articles. They're like, oh, it's spam. Here's their weak example on Facebook. They said it's spam because they're sharing articles that link to websites that then gain ad revenue. That's every website in existence. That's what CNN does. That's what MSNBC does. That's what right-wing people like David Harris Jr. do. You know, he posts his articles a lot, and it links to his website, which has ad revenue. Every website under the sun does that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not a spam tactic. That's a normal tactic for anybody who owns a website. You put ads on your website and you make money off the ads on your website. That's standard website practices. So just the fact that Facebook said it's a spam tactic to post a link and then have it linked to ads on another site, that's the fakest reason to kick somebody off I've ever heard in my life. And anybody who does any sort of web stuff knows that. And that's kind of scary that a big website like Google, I won't say scary, I don't like to be fearful, but it's concerning that a big website like Google would blatantly lie like that and people just be okay with it, or just be like, yeah, I mean, that's a spam tactic. No, it's not. That was a lie. But when it comes to Twitter, what's really strange to me is Laura Loomer got banned recently. And she's a Jewish investigative journalist who's more conservative and just is a firebrand. She's all over the place, Laura Loomer. I met her in person at Politicon. She's really chill and cool. I had a conversation with Owen Benjamin, who's a comedian, very, very funny guy, makes fun of everyone, every religion, every gender, everyone. He just doesn't care. And people love him for that because he's very real. He's not hateful. He's funny. He's hilarious. He got kicked off Twitter. He got kicked off YouTube. But the weird thing about the Laura Loomer was that she got banned until like November 6th or 7th, right after the election. And what's weird about that is, first of all, Owen Benjamin's, that was a complete false. Like they said, because he said something about David Hogg, and they banned him for that. But with Laura Loomer, if what she's doing is so terrible, all I ask is, first of all, what did she get banned for? Because she is a little wild, but like they banned her for 6 or 7 days. But then there's literally a threat. There's somebody who said, why don't people assassinate the presidents anymore? Y'all should get on that. Literally calling for the assassination of President Trump. And it has 100,000 likes on it. So not only is this post not being censored, it's very, very popular. It's allowed to free flow all over the website, and that user doesn't get taken down. So what does this tell you? I mean, it's not a small post. Thousands of people have been showing Jack from Twitter. They don't care. This is like their ideology on Twitter is, if it's a threat against the president of the United States, a death threat, that's okay because we don't like the president. Lord, we love Jewish people. You know, they say, oh my God, if you say anything about George Soros, that's anti-Semitic, which is not true at all, because even Israel, there's articles that say Israel thinks that George Soros is a threat. Is Israel anti-Semitic? No, they're literally the most Jewish state in the world. Is, Netanyahu's son anti-Semitic? If you read the media, they said, Netanyahu's son did an anti-Semitic George Soros meme. He's the son of the leader of Israel. He's not anti-Semitic. He's like the most Jewish Jew on the planet Earth. And that's fine. That's okay. He's allowed to have an opinion about George Soros. He's not anti-Semitic. And then they say that everyone who says anything about George Soros is anti-Semitic, but then Laura Loomer is Jewish, but she's conservative, and David Horowitz is Jewish and he's conservative, and all of a sudden they don't care about Jews anymore. So I don't trust it. It's just kind of a liberal trap. Laura Loomer gets banned till after the election, can't make fun of George Soros or say anything, or you're anti-Semitic, can do death threats to President Trump, but Laura Loomer can't do in-your-face investigative journalism. I'm sorry, this stuff just doesn't add up. So I find it just very, very strange. And Google, I did a whole thing on YouTube. Maybe I'll share it later. YouTube's whole algorithm is rigged to push you towards the mainstream media. They like bury independent content. They put a top news section, which is basically a rigged, filtered algorithm to put you towards like Washington Post, New York Times, New York Post, Fox News. But I would say even out of the Fox News and New York Post, like 8 out of 10 of them are liberal, 2 out of 10 of them are conservative mainstream media, but the whole website is rigged against independent content. So the biggest culprits of election manipulation are Google, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and they have way more of an influence than even foreign media or anybody or anything. And they're not, my problem is not, if you think Laura Loomer's hateful, that's fine. If you think, but they don't, it's not like a thing. They only go for people who are, and I'm sure they do some left-leaning people too. I'm not saying it's all right-wing, but it does seem to be a pattern that death threats are okay as long as it's against this person. But if you do that, it's that we love Jewish people, but we don't like Laura Loomer. We love Jews, but David Horowitz, who ran a foundation, he got basically, they came around the block and like got Patreon and MasterCard to stop using his stuff. So they made it so the guy can barely make money, and his organization is like totally, I mean, I don't know them completely, but it was basically a pro-America organization that was against foreign and domestic like terrorists. Like, I mean, I looked at his stuff and I read his tweets. He's basically, David Horowitz is like a normal Jewish conservative guy who's super smart, super honest, super chill, and just being a right-wing normal person. But that's the problem that bothers me. I'm against anti-Semitism, of course. I'm against anti-Christianity or like anybody who's against a whole race or religion or group of people. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad news. But they don't really care. That's the thing. It's like, do I care about women and children? Yeah, of course. But the media uses women and children and illegal immigrants and legal immigrants to frame it in a way and be like, oh, you don't care about the Jews. No, I do. You don't care about the Jews because you only like liberal Jews. And then when it comes to David Horowitz and Laura Loomer, you're trying to ruin their life. So you don't care about them. I care about everyone equally. You only care about it if it fits your political agenda. Same with the kids at the border and stuff. It's like, yeah, I just don't like the way they frame it, everything. And I don't like how they banned her because Laura Loomer, she's a very powerful force when it comes to investigative journalism. And like I said, not to repeat myself, but to really drive the point home so people can't skew what I'm saying out of terms. If Laura Loomer is doing something that's super, super wrong, although I don't know what she even did or said that broke the terms of service, state what she did and enforce it fairly to all sides. That's all I ask for. But when you shut her down and you're leaving up death threats with 100,000 tweets, you don't care about the safety of Twitter. You care about winning the midterm elections. If you say that you're banning anti-media and Free Thought Project, why are you banning them? Well, what's their main reason for banning them? It's because they said their spam posts was them using news articles that linked to websites that had ads on them. That's what every website does, so they're lying. That's my problem. I don't care if you take down Free Thought Project if it's for a real reason, and then you enforce it accurately if CNN does it or MSNBC does it or super, left-wing mainstream people do it, but they don't do that ever. They are, of course, trying to influence the election. I don't even think if it's a question. I mean, Twitter wants the Democrats to win. YouTube and Google want the Democrats to win. Facebook wants the Democrats to win, which is fine. But when you own a big website like that, I just can't, I think it's very unfair what they're doing. And they're very, very desperate. They're very, very inaccurate with their terms of service. And I agree with someone like Tucker Carlson, who brings this up a lot, and not a lot of people listen to him. Google and Facebook and Twitter, the reason it's a big deal is because they have more power than any entity has ever had, possibly in the modern era of the United States. They have so much power and control on stuff. They can literally alter the entire world via their search engines. And I'll go out on a limb because Tucker doesn't say this. they're already doing it. They're already rigging their algorithms. They're already rigging their search engines. They're already doing it. So Tucker says, man, maybe one day they'll do this. I'm saying, Tucker, that day's today. They're already doing it. Not to such an extreme that it's like world poverty or anything, but they have that power. They have more power than maybe even China or, Russia, because they control billions of people as far as their data, their information, the eyes and the, control of like what millions of people see and what they perceive as true and false. That goes worldwide. They have a bigger influence than any particular country, and they're actively working for one party in the United States. That's just what they're doing. Yes, they're not doing it to the full extent, but they're definitely rigging the set a little bit. And I don't know what needs to be done. I don't know if it needs to be regulated or this or that. I don't know what the answer is, but I do know at a certain point, they have to be honest, they have to keep it real, and they have to stop enforcing creepy terms of service. And the only reason they're doing it is because the Democrats lost. If the Democrats won, they would have, I guarantee you, they would have never done the fake news, Russian news, we got to crack down on that. They never would have done that. They only did it because Hillary Clinton lost. And they can't fathom how they had every algorithm and artificial intelligence little like ploy, machine learning thing, going, and then they had the superdelegate thing for Bernie and Hillary, and like they won that, and they just can't fathom how they lost. They're like, oh, we won the popular vote, yeah, but like they don't understand. They're like, man, we had everything working in our favor. We kind of, we did everything we could, and we still couldn't win. So now we have to take more control, more control, more control, more control, more control. And I don't like to see influential people like Laura banned on Twitter, essentially manipulating the election among way other things that they've done on both sides, left and right, and then claiming that, oh, no, it's just the terms of service. Even Alex Jones, before I leave, I want to say, Alex Jones has done a lot of crazy things in his life. He's said a lot of crazy things. The reason they took him off Twitter and YouTube and Spotify and all of them basically within 24 hours were like, you're off, you're gone. How did that happen? Are they having backdoor meetings where they all make the same decisions at the time? Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Twitter, they all took them off within 40-hour period, week period. Twitter waited a week or two. But the reason they took Alex Jones, here's the thing, the reason they took Alex Jones down didn't even make sense. They didn't take him down because he lied about Sandy Hook or he said things about Sandy Hook. That's what they said for a year to build the case against him as far as make everyone. But then the reason they gave was like, didn't even make sense. Alex was basically like, yo, if people break into your house, you better have a rifle ready. And then they were like, oh, he's threatening people. No, he said if you come, then protect yourself, like in full context. Although it's like they're like, well, we don't, like they drop, well, we don't. No, say why you did it. Just say, this is why we dropped Alex Jones. This is why we dropped Laura Loomer. This is why we dropped the Free Thought Project. But I'm finding out when they do say why they did it, it's not for why you think they did. It's not like, oh, they're harassing people and this is bad. It's like, they're spamming. It's like, what's spamming? Posting articles. Well, what do you mean? Well, posting articles that link to sites with ads on it. That's what everyone does. That's not spam. So it's like these companies are full of malarkey. And hopefully they work it out, and hopefully people don't freak out if the midterms don't go their way. It's going to be a wild week. I'm personally very excited for the midterms. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a red wave, although this has been a really weird week. I got weird vibes about it, but I'm not going to put that out in the world. I'm going to let the universe, God, whatever y'all want to go with, I'm going to let it, not to offend anyone, I'm just going to let it be and see what happens. What's meant to be will be. As always, thank you for joining. I appreciate you guys sticking around. This was a longer one. Check out my YouTube. Check out my free email list. Thank you to everyone on DonorBox and Patreon. Make America Debate Again. That's my new podcast. I'm trying to build that. It's on Apple. If you guys like podcasts, just something to listen to. I'm trying to get into more interesting stuff than I talk about all the time. Like I said, the moon. I'm going to talk to social justice warriors, left-leaning people, right-leaning people, people who don't agree with me, people who kind of agree with me. I just want to get the discussion and the debate flowing on Make America Debate Again. So if you know anybody, any experts on anything, or if you disagree with me, man, Anomaly, you're so wrong about this, and I'm an expert. Email me, and maybe you could be on Make America Debate Again. Thank you guys again. Have a good week. I'll be back tomorrow.